And is it transcribing? Perfect. Oh, we know it's working. Okay, thanks for coming in today. And this is our third week for going over the Battle Apps competition. We'll have some people online, some people here in the room. Of course, we're recording this event. I think a lot of people are watching the stream at their convenience. Today I'm going to go over more of the workbook and show a couple of examples maybe of some interesting, or an interesting example of an idea. Some people have been talking to me about ideas and where they come from. So we'll get right into it. I guess I'll just start sharing my screen here. And we're going to talk a little bit about, there we are. So we're going to talk a little bit about maybe some of the business side a little bit. Since I find, there we are. So this is, hopefully you can see this is the Battle Apps workbook that we've been working through. Most of you have this already. If not, you can email me afterwards. We'll make sure you get a copy. Again, the Battle Apps competition is to complete the workbook and all the information provided within it. It's intended to help you scope out your idea, the customer, the business plan, do some ideation, maybe some interface design. It's meant as a convenient way to sort of summarize your plans and ideas. And of course, at the end of the competition, all you have to do is submit the workbook, and then we have some prize money that we're going to be giving away. So, yes.
Do we have to submit it by
Email. Email. Yeah, I don't want printed versions. Yeah, email. And that's the 31st, which is, I think, a Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, but January 31st. So we've looked at some of this already, and the first page is just contact information. No surprise there. Last time we talked about customer identification and identifying customer pain points. So you can look to the video from last week to review some of that. Similarly, I've actually got the videos. We did this competition last year. So there's videos from last year up, which may give you some other further insight covering the same material. Now, we'll be looking today at some of the business side of this, okay? So when you've identified an application, you've identified a customer, you've got an idea, you're going to do some research in the market, and you might find that there might be something similar out there. Now, on occasion, oftentimes someone will look at that and say, oh, well, someone's already done that idea. That's not necessarily, it's not necessarily a bad idea if someone's already done it, or it's not well-trod ground if somebody's done it. And in fact, knowing that someone else is interested in that similar space is what we call market validation. So what you want to do is look at what they're doing, okay, and then consider what you're doing and identify the differentiating factor. Oftentimes, there's already somebody either in a market or has something close or similar to something that you're thinking about that doesn't negate your idea. What you need to do is spin and iterate on that, okay? So how does your product differ from something that may be out there? What makes it better? Now, again, the workbook is here, and it's got a space for you to fill these things out. Keep in mind, you have to keep things brief. We want nice, short, concise descriptions, which means you have to think about, really understand and think about your product, other products, differentiating features, benefits, that kind of stuff. How do you make money? What's the financial model for this? And we're going to look at this a little bit today specifically, is the financial model that underpins some IT projects. Where does the money come from? And what's the scope of this app? Is it a local app? Is it a national level, regional level, worldwide? And I kind of preached on this, I think, last week as well. My encouragement is not to look for local small market solutions. It's hard to make money with that. The opposite side of that is that if something works in one small market, it could work in other markets all over the world. So think about the thing about applications and mobile applications is they're scalable. They're almost infinitely scalable. If they work for someone on Charlotte Street, they work for someone in downtown New York. So try to scale your idea and think about what the larger implications or the largest market could be. And then here, TAM, what's your TAM? What's your total addressable market? So, you know, if you're putting together an app for dog owners, how many dog owners are there in North America? How many dog owners are there in the world? Okay. Now, again, some research, you can identify that. Where do they live? Now, again, there's a backsided way of looking at the scope, national, regional, whatever. But give me a couple little more considerations. Are they an urban resident? Are they a rural resident? Do they live in a certain geographic location? Do they live in apartments? Do they live in houses? Like just a little bit of information there. You kind of fill that out. The market engagement hypothesis. So a brief line here to describe your idea. And then, okay, if I do something, if I provide a service, okay, if I solve a pain, then, okay, what will the customer do? Okay, and how will that evolve? Okay, and you can numerate that. Okay, I've got this little formula. If at least X% of Y do something, I've got a result. Okay, so say, for example, we use our dog analogy. Okay, there's 200 million dog owners in North America. Probably not, because there's not that many people in North America. Well, there's a little more. Let's say 100 million dog owners in North America. Well, if I do this, at least 2% of my 100 million dog owners will purchase the app, subscribe to the service, view an online podcast, okay? Give me a down payment, okay? Try to come up with numerations, numbers that actually attach directly to your market. How big is the market? What's your target? How many do you hope to get? And what does that result in? And the simplified version of that is this little X plus Y, or X% of Y will give me my total addressable, my total market. Okay. We looked at our customer descriptions there last week. Again, the demographics help fill in some of those blanks, like who are your customers? And they feed back into your total addressable market as well. Okay, your idea that, well, I'm going to do something for joggers, or I'm going to do something for people that like to eat vegetables. Try to numerate that and try to identify what they look like. Okay. And a couple of work plans here. Again, maybe later we'll look at those a little bit and what they are. And I'll just kind of stop today looking at this application. So this is where you fill out your description of your application. Again, this is a fillable form. Keep things concise, keep things simple, okay? Again, the more you think about something, the more concisely and precisely you're going to be able to identify it and talk about it. Okay. So from there, are there any questions on any of this, either from the online folks or people that are here? Anything about total addressable market, or numerating things, coming up with numbers to identify the financial situation or the business situation you might find yourself in? Yep. 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 So you want to consider all of those things. And that comes back. So just for the people online that may not have heard your question, because the mic probably didn't pick it up, but you're talking about the demographic factors. So yeah, like this form here is to sort of help some of that. Okay. So what are the demographic, ethnicity, income, education? What are the specifics of your ideal customer? Okay. A description of them and their lifestyle. I like this one, favorite products, brands. What do they associate with now? What brands, what lifestyle do they associate themselves with? Attitudes, opinions, political beliefs, religious beliefs, social beliefs, and the pain and problem. So what is the issue that they have? What pain does it need solving? So that leads into that demographic, and then this total address. How many of those people are there? How many of those people are there? How many dog owners are there? How many people that jog? And then you can sort of flesh out your idea a little more and look at the scope. What are the numbers here? Yes, total addressable market. Yeah. So with that, I'm gonna segue into looking at where we are, funding your small business. Okay, so this is just a brief overview of some of the financial situations behind looking at monetizing funding a small business. So first, a scope. Traditional small to medium-sized enterprises. Uh, they are your typical retail or service organization. You've got, a plumber. You've got a shoe store. And those exist in a certain category for finance. They're well understood. They've been around a long time. Their financials are known. They're different than what a scalable startup is. And the word is scalable. Scalable meaning things can get big really, really quickly. Things can get huge quickly. If I opened up a shoe shop down the street, my total addressable market in Cape Breton is like 125,000 people, or 104, something like that, 125,000-ish people. And it's probably not even that, okay? It probably breaks down into a neighborhood or a zone or a postal code. So my shoe shop that I set up, okay, will never be a billion-dollar enterprise. It services a local geographic area. It's a traditional small business. When you get online and you start building applications, you move into this, I'm not going to say infinitely, but nearly infinitely scalable scenario where you can have millions of customers. So businesses that exist online, on the web, that are software enabled, have intellectual property, like an actual thought process, something as unique, a secret sauce that is trademarkable, has the ability to scale massively, the way a pizza shop or a shoe shop can't. Now, you might say, okay, well, Amazon sells books and Amazon, like bookstores, and that's true. But Amazon revolutionized bookstores and they took it worldwide and they expanded from books into every other product and service. In fact, when they named the company, the reason Amazon existed, the name Amazon existed was Bezos wanted to give it a name that would be indicative of growth and an international nature. Okay, and the Amazon is the biggest, I think, the biggest river in the world. So the idea that the bookstore was going to scale beyond that from the very start was baked into his overall plan. And again, we get these massive scales that are possible when you look at a worldwide market and digital technology. So if you're looking at funding a traditional small to medium-sized enterprise, you have what's called skin in the game, okay? Your body is on the ground, you're working it, you've got sweat equity, okay? And the magic formula there is, in a small business, well, you start small, you reduce your risk and potentially fail small. We talk about getting to the failing point quickly so you can either prove an idea works, or if it doesn't, get on to the next idea, okay? So the idea that if you're funding a small to medium-sized enterprise, that someone's going to come in with a lot of money off the start, that's probably not going to be the case. It's probably going to be you starting with with your sweat equity and your efforts and your work to build a market, to do to start a small shop, limited products, limited services, see if it works, and if it doesn't, move on to the next idea. Okay, if it does work, grow and expand within your market. With a small business or a scalable business, you got to think about your end game. Okay, so for a small bit, now keep in mind something that I've heard said is all businesses eventually stop operating. Okay, I mean, there are the odd business like Hudson's Bay Company's been around for 600 years, and I think there's a hotel in Japan that is like 1,400 years old. But you look at a company like Kodak. Kodak was birthed in the late 19th century and essentially died as a company about a decade ago. Very, very successful, profitable company for decades, but the industry went away. Okay. In a small business situation, your industry may or may not go away, but you as an individual will probably retire. Okay. So what's your end game in that situation? Okay. Well, you probably want to work, create a job for yourself, and maybe sell the business at the end or work it until the end when you retire. With a scalable digital business, the end games are a little bit different, okay? And the two big ones, okay, are IPO and buyout. Okay, so IPO means you're going to go public. You have this idea, it's grown, and you're going to have a lot of people come in and invest money in your company, and your payout comes from that investment. Or, like the joke says, Microsoft buys you out, okay, or Amazon buys you out. You have a product or service or an innovation, software, some sort of intellectual property that's valuable, and a large company comes in and gives you a massive check to go away. Okay, so when you're looking at planning your app, what's the exit for that? You look at, did you want to operate this forever? Could be a possibility. Or with a digital product, you've got the potential to be bought out or to go public. Those are things that happen. They've happened to several students of this university who have created companies that got bought out. It's kind of like lightning in a bottle. It's striking. You know, it's got the. It doesn't happen to everyone. It happens to very few people, but it happens, and it's literally happened within this university several times. So when you're looking at getting money, small businesses have a network that they go through, a process. There's personal investment, sweat equity, friends and family, cash flowing things, loans from organizations. You'll notice that bank loans aren't in there because banks generally don't fund sort of startup risky kind of investments, but in any case. On the scalable side, the path is a little different. So when you got a mobile app, you start with personal investment, your time and a little bit of money, and sweat equity, that's common. Friends and family, yeah, that's there. But then you get on this roller coaster, this path of angel investment, seed investment, venture investment. And what those are levels of investment where people on the outside say, you know what, I think that idea's got a potential. I'm going to give you $100,000 to sort of get down the road another 6 months and see if we can grow this. And then maybe you've done that and you get to another level where, you know, you've proven there's a market here. Maybe you're worthy of getting $500,000 or $1 million as seed investment to get to the next year, to get through the next year or two. Okay, see if you can actually gain market share. And then once you get big enough, then you look at the potential for venture investment, IPOs. These things can and do grow massively. So in the back of your head, when you're picking an idea, it's a good idea to think about how could this grow and what investment might it need. Things start out with small investments, tiny amounts of money, personal time, sweat equity. But if they're going to scale and grow, there's a massive amount of upside potential. What about the bank? Banks generally don't get involved in risk. Okay, they usually base money on assets and equity. Okay, you might get some money from a bank if you were to sign and have an asset, like a personal asset-backed guarantee. But that means you're putting up your house, or you're putting up land, or you're putting up something personally in order to further your business venture. Banks are not venture investors. They don't take a lot of risk. Okay, people come in the door and say, "Well, I'm going to get money from a bank to do this," and you're probably not. And the kinds of money that would actually scale something are not within the bank loan capacity. They do stuff like operating capital for, you know, small amounts of money, relatively $5, $10, $20, $50,000. They don't risk $100,000 or $2 million on the line in a venture-rated business. What about government loans? They exist. There are programs out there. They change all the time. The programs that they've had in the past are not the programs they deliver now. And compared to the past, there's probably fewer venture-backed federal monies available. Having said that, there are specific programs for specific purposes. They don't do general business financing. There are programs on priorities change. So you have to consult, say, the website for a provincial program, a federal government program, and see what they're currently funding. Okay, they'll often have initiatives. Say, for example, when we had COVID, there was a whole series of COVID relief programs available. They don't exist now because COVID is hopefully in our rearview mirror. So the government programs, they do take more risk because they understand they're getting into some, like they're kickstarting an economic sector, but they're very specific in what they have money available for. Again, provincial government has some programs, but it's kind of boutique, again, very specialized. They also fund a category of lenders called Business Development Corporation, CBDCs. So you might not find money directly from a provincial government, but you'll find an organization like a small business lender, like a CBDC, that could you might qualify for some money for. Again, these are smaller amounts of money in this case, but they're intended to get people started on the entrepreneurial track. Scalable, massive growth opportunity, 100 times return on investment, billion-dollar markets, very small success rate. So when we talk scalable, someone that's coming in with an investment is going to come in and give you $100,000 sort of as angel investment. And maybe $100,000 seems like a lot of money to you now. That's like what? A salary for 2 years, or two people's salary for, like, it's not an infinite amount of money. And they're coming in with their $100,000 and they're going to take 20% of your company. Now, the reason they have to do that, it's not because they're trying to be pirates and but they're going to invest in 20 companies. They're going to give 20 companies $100,000. 19 of them will never see the light of day. One of them will become a billion-dollar company. Okay? So they're looking for, they get involved in the risk part, and they share that risk among multiple ventures, knowing that most of them are going to fail. That's just the nature of this segment. But that 1%, okay, is going to become a billion-dollar company and make all of the rest of them financially viable. Okay, so scalable means you're attracting investment based on the fact that this market could be huge, and someone's going to take a huge risk funding the very beginning of your enterprise. Traditional small businesses, local, regional, they bootstrap, they have cash flowed operations, so they bring in money today, they buy more resellable goods tomorrow, or they provide a service tomorrow that they get paid, they pay their staff for, and they turn that back around. Slow to moderate growth, okay? 50% success rate. They say 50% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years or 3 years. Those stats are a little variable, but you get the theme. So 50% success rate, slow to modest growth. Okay. And come on. Yeah, I think that's it there. If I look at a like the previous slide, scalable, 1% success rate. Okay, small business, 50% success rate. So 50% seems like a lot of risk, and it is relatively. 1%, see, that's a moonshot. That's being struck by lightning. But you need that massive return to make it viable. And this is real. This not only has happened, it does happen. It will happen again, literally, to students from Cape Breton University. So the idea you generate now could be, hopefully will. That's the reason we're doing this, is to get some of these ideas fleshed out, so that you can grow a market potentially into one of these massive value creating enterprises. Okay, any questions on that so far? How are we doing? Did I inspire anyone to go out and make a billion-dollar company? That's good. That's good. Okay, wonderful. So again, working through the workbook, that helps bring you down that path. Okay, and we'll hopefully continue to foster and talk about some of these ideas as you go along. So the next little thing I want to do is I actually want to look at just a couple of, or one example actually, of an idea. Okay, and it's not even an app yet. It relies on an app, I'll explain that. It hit my desk a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it was really unique. I thought there was something to build on. So I'm just going to go back to sharing here. Desktop over here. And escape that. So has anyone ever heard of a company called Weatherspoons? Probably not. I had never heard of a company called Weatherspoons. It's a restaurant. Okay. So Weatherspoons has an app. Okay. So basically, you can order from your table, and your table's got a table number on it. And you get deals and loyalties and all the standard stuff that you'd get with an app, like you get a frequent flyer kind of card process, okay? But someone took that idea and they sort of modified it a little bit, okay? They came up with the Weatherspoons game, okay? So what is the Weatherspoons game? The Weatherspoons game is you go on this Facebook site, you take a picture of your crew, okay, with the table number that you're at. Where am I? Winter Gardens, it's a chain, Weatherspoons is a chain. Winter Gardens, Harrogate, table 57. Okay? You put that on Facebook, and you ask people to buy you drinks. Okay? So literally, they put a picture up, and someone online with the Weatherspoons app, you don't have to be in the restaurant to order at the restaurant. If you got the table number and location, right? So it's a social networking pay it forward game. So this person just ordered beer for those guys at that restaurant. Okay. That person just ordered beer for that guys at they ordered strangers. They're buying food and drinks for strangers. So, that crew there is at table number 5, right? That couple celebrating a birthday, table 61, anything will be good. So happy birthday, here's a beer. Okay. So there's a genesis of an idea there. So there's obviously a Weatherspoons app. Okay. They've got a network that they collect through Facebook, and that's turned into this game. There's actually 529,000 members on this Facebook group playing the Weatherspoons game. Now, here's where you take that idea and you say, well, what can be done with something like that? Okay. Now, this leverages Facebook. There is that. But there are, can you imagine how that might be spun into other industries? This is in the United Kingdom. So Weatherspoons doesn't exist, I don't think, in North America. Could that be transplanted from here to there or there to here? Okay. So this is an idea where you take a thing that exists. There's a situation, you take a thing that exists, so an app that allows you to order food. I mean, a lot of people have that, and it's been gamified. It's been gamified. Okay. Use that as inspiration. Use that as a beginning of an idea that you might turn into something else. Okay. So the theme for today is to consider scalability, consider a worldwide or a national level market, to understand that the process is a long one. It doesn't happen literally overnight. I mean, maybe that has happened occasionally, but there is a financial process here, a business building process here. You start literally with an idea, tangibly almost nothing. Okay, and you grow that idea, excite people about the prospects of for investors, it's all about total addressable market. How big could this get? Okay. And then it's a process of storytelling, being able to convince investors that this is worth putting money into. Just because you think it's a small idea, or how could something I thought of grow so into such a large enterprise? It can. These things happen, and you could get that initial angel investment. Okay, that initial, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, relatively in business terms, small amounts of money, to get you down the road another 6 months. Okay, to build out your idea, to attract more investment, to prove there's a market, to bring it to an IPO or a buyout, or like Jeff Bezos. Well, Jeff Bezos, I'm sure, did an IPO, but still owns a major part of Amazon, and turns into like a massively profitable venture. Okay. Any questions? Any comments? No. Okay. You're looking furrowed. You're thinking, right? You're thinking. Okay, that's good. That's good. You mentioned earlier you had an idea you're working on. So do you have any, in relation to what we've said here, do you have any questions? Okay. Okay.
It's like 19 days.
Okay. Writing things down is important. You come up with a process and you write things down. And coming up with these, they're sort of like back of napkin calculations. You do some research, you do some projecting, you come up with a potential market size. Now that is admittedly entirely speculative, but it gives you at least a start. And then your task is to prove that exists. Okay. Something I probably didn't go over here as much. The way that you make money. Okay, so what is your product? Okay, what is your application? Do people buy the application? Do they have a subscription? Is it a monthly subscription? Is it free and supported by advertising? Okay, so these are all ways to monetize your idea. They're all valuable. So look at answering that question, like how do I actually get money out of someone's pocket? Okay, what value is in this? Okay, and how can I leverage the benefit it's giving someone into getting money out of their pocket, either directly through sale, subscription, or indirectly through support, sponsorship, donation, any one of a number of different ways. Okay, that's it for today. I'm going to thank everyone who's here and online. The recording will probably be up by later today or early tomorrow. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me and I'll be happy to address them. Thank you.